talking to a robot or something. It's like, can you tell us about a time when you had, it's just not right. Do you ever get that when you're on shows?
Yeah, quite a few different podcast shows, so it's always different.
Yeah,
But for the most part, it's still the same theme. Yeah, so
yeah. Some folks are, and what you learn too is some folks are trying to figure out kindly their. I did that, right? I went through a handful of episodes and I started, and then when I started being interviewed, I was real quick to say, all right, I know I don't want this.
yeah,
I found that out real quick, man. Just like things that I didn't, I knew what I didn't want to have in uh, in my episodes and stuff.
oh man,
You got children? Any kids yet? No, no kids. Good. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome, man. I was just curious because I have I don't coach like you do, but I coach my rec teams and different things. I've got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, so it's a different vibe when you're coaching your kids or you're plugged in with your. I got to experience that, so it's been cool to really help be able to mesh a little bit of parenthood, I guess you could say, in with your kids, and then helping them kind of grow and learn, and then around the other kids as well. So that's been fun for me.
yeah. It's been a vibe. Yeah, it's entering year 7 of me coaching high school football, so it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I see how coaches get in this and being it for 10, 20 years, and you know what I'm saying. It's just crazy. So times,
So it's I mean that's our journey though sometimes, right? I never was an athlete, but I enjoy the coaching aspect of. I got into coaching kindly that way. I was a franchise gym owner, and we coached our classes, so it was and I've always had kind of that. Um, I don't know, a gift maybe to where you can convey, where you can motivate, where you can help people kind of reach higher levels and new heights. That's kind of what I enjoy on the coaching side of it. I really, man, I tell you what, you're probably a fundamental guy. I enjoy this part. I enjoy the mind and the little nuggets things. Like I'll have my kids. I'll have my kids do crazy stuff like putting their water bottle in their fridge the night before, right? Just like those little things. I'm like, nah, listen, or making sure they show up. One of the things I do with baseball kids is, yeah, in baseball they're given an issued part of their uniform: socks, pants, belt, shirt, and hat. And most of them will always forget that belt. And that's just a stickler for me. The belt becomes my thing. Like, hey, it's a little bit of how you do one thing, it's how you do everything. So just passing along that kind of that mindset mentality, man.
yes sir, yes sir. You know what I'm saying? Iron sharp as iron.
What age group are you working with now? Is it JV age group? Or are you working with your varsity level kids?
JV and varsity.
Yeah,
I work with both of them.
good program.
Yo, it's been a journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just winning records, losing records. So we're just trying to get above that curve and stay above that curve. But
yeah.
we whole transformation as far as just old players leaving, new players. You know what I'm saying, coming up, and we're a pretty young team, all in all. So, but it's still gonna be good in hindsight. You know what I'm saying, years to come down the line.
Do
So
you have a good is there a Sandlot program that's kind of wrapped into your program as a
yeah,
feeder program?
yeah. So
Yeah.
our middle school, from the baby cats to the middle school program, all the way up to the high school, we homegrown. That's another thing too. We are all our players been with us since the baby program. It ain't like
Yeah.
we got to transfers in like most of these schools be doing. So yeah, we are homegrown for sure.
Yeah, that's I think that was a big turn here. I remember, when I graduated, we didn't have that. We didn't have Sandlot football. We didn't have that program, and then a couple schools around us credited their state championship runs to having develop those programs at a younger age, and the same play they were running in high school they were running at the middle school and the Sandlot level. So it makes lifting up the kids. It's one less thing you got to teach when everybody's been playing off the same playbook.
Yeah, that part. That part. The biggest thing is just making sure that those kids see your face. You know what I'm saying? That you show up, knowing that this is all one big family. Because our head coach says all the time, either we recruit them now or we're gonna be coaching against them. So
Yeah.
be love on them now. You know what I'm saying? Encourage them to come on up to the high school level. You know what I'm saying? Stay in Wheeler's program. Because like I said, it's quick. Kids are quick to transfer nowadays.
Do you? I'll ask you one other thing, but where would you like to see that? And we'll introduce you. Where, what would you like to see? How long you been doing in high school?
7 years.
Yeah, you told me that. Is your plan to try to escalate that or?
Nah. You couldn't even tell me I would be coaching high school football. This is just something I just fell into, and here we are 7 years later. But I don't see myself in this thing forever. It's very time consuming. So, but for the time being, I enjoy it. So it's cool for now.
Do you teach or what do you do outside of your football?
Yeah. I work in high school. I mean, I work in education still, but also got a lot of different stuff that I do on the side outside of
Yeah,
that. So
yeah, that's cool, man. Let me tell everybody who you are, and this is the interesting part. We haven't even got to it yet, but it's where we're going to end up, folks. But here's a question I wanted everybody to, as we've been chatting here with me and Chancellor, right?
correct.
I said it right. Chancellor Jackson. He and I have been chatting about his work in football and his love for football, but there's an amazing backstory that I'm getting ready to help reveal here today. And this is a question I kind of wrote down. Um, what would you do if you're locked in a Chinese jail cell with no answers, no timeline, and no one knowing you're even there? Chancellor Jackson lived that nightmare and turned it into a best-selling book, a powerful platform, and a second chance at life with purpose. In this episode, we're going to explore how tragedy can be the spark for transformation, man. And that's what puts you in front of those kids and your players and all that stuff, man. It doesn't take nothing but one little, you got a big drive, but one little setback, man, it helps you find some purpose quick.
Yes, most definitely the best teacher of life is your own experience.
And we were talking about kind of what a day in your life looks now, but walk us through that. What's a typical day in your world look like?
If it's during season, then working at school during the day. As soon as I'm done with that, head straight to football practice. You got practice from 3:50 to about 6, 7 p.m. And then after that, I might have some podcast interviews to do. If not, workout. And then by the time I wrap all that up, we'll drop players off. By the time I do all of that, finally make it back to the house, and I got a little time to unwind before it's time to lay it down and do the same thing the very next day.
I've told folks that before. I'm like, coaching the on field part is just that's just a fraction of what coaches do. When you talk about running kids, and I've had parents talk to me like, "Oh, Jeff, can you?" And I told them one day, I'm like, "Hey, I got to be here. I don't. You're not burdening me at all because I'll live within 5 or 10 minutes of me.
Yeah,
It's not like it's a big lift for me to get them there. But I always remind them, man, I never would have played a sport at all if I hadn't had a coach that was willing to drive me.
thanks.
Um, it was just the way it was. My mom, I'm a uh, product of an amazing single mom, and she was doing things she had to do to keep us afloat, and so athletics and running and all that stuff. Now here's what I'll tell you: she plugged in where she could, and as I got a little older and her life changed. She was probably around a whole lot in different times, a lot more. But those coaches that was around me and helped positive role models too of just being in kids' lives and stuff. Man, that's a lot of power.
It's very empowering. Yeah, it's a blessing.
Walk, you got this amazing life that you built for yourself now, but walk us back. You're a football player. Walk us back in time a little bit through your journey and get me until about that college level.
Okay. So, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Started playing football at eighth grade. So I was pretty late to the game, especially for those that know about Georgia football. Most folks out here in Georgia start playing around 4 and 5 years old. So I had a lot of catching up to do from a physical standpoint and then from a mental standpoint, just knowing the game of football. So I didn't really have any success my first year playing, but was able to bounce back. Started my freshman year of high school on the freshman team. Sophomore year started on JV. Junior year trying to shoot for varsity. Coaches ain't find it fit just yet, so they put me back on JV. Of course, that devastated me, but I was like, hey, I ain't like I can just get up and transfer schools. That ain't gonna be an option. I have to see this through because I want to play college football. Um, this isn't in the plans of what, at least what I had plans, you know what I'm saying, to get there, but hey, this is something I just got to figure it out. So kept grinding. Was going crazy on JV. Earned my way to earn a starting spot on the varsity team towards the end of that season. Started all of my senior year, and now senior year goes through. Done with that, and I was like, okay, boom. I don't have any interest, no from scouts, no offers, nothing. Like nobody knows who I am, and I knew I wanted to play college ball. So it's like I know it's gonna be a grind, but it ain't like we play for the best school. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like our coaches marketing us. So it's like I gotta take it upon myself to put myself out there. If not, then this dream ain't gonna happen. So I do diligently every day, throughout the day. I would be emailing coaches, DMing coaches, the whole nine, um, day in and day out, until I came across Stetson University. Applied for their school, got accepted, got in touch with the coaches, chopped it up with them. For my spring break, I went down to visit them and meet with them as a staff. Met with the DB coach here. I went to the summer camp that summer going into my senior year as well, so they were familiar with me, and we chopped it up. They vibed. We vibed out. It seemed like a great conversation. I really wasn't sure what was going to come from the conversation, but I knew it was just a shot in the dark. And then a few weeks later, one of my friends texted me like, "Hey, bro," he sent me the website, the Stetson University's football page. He said, "Hey, bro, you on the roster, bro?" I was like, "What?" Went and checked. Lo and behold, there I was, number 29. I was like, "Oh snap, bro, we made it happen." So I was able to make my dream come true. Played all 4 years down there at Stetson. After I graduated from Stetson, I knew the NFL wasn't going to be in the picture, so I just started applying for jobs. Um, Spent 8 months
Let's
applying for jobs.
let me ask you a couple things right here, dude, because you got my curiosity up because I want to talk to eighth grade Chancellor for a second, right? Why so late coming into the game? First off, because you got there's a story and a story here from the old coach Jeff wants to bring out. Well, so you're late to the game coming in when you're like in middle school, eighth grade. Why is that?
Like you said, similar to you, single parent household. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Me and my little brother. So
yeah. But listen, man,
literally,
that's our job, right? That's part of mine and your calling is to make sure that those kids who are growing up similar to us know that, man, listen. Um, you just got to do it. You're going to have, you got one less car to drive it right in most days. You got one less person who's filling you full of positivity. But here's what you don't have. You don't have somebody dragging you back. You don't have, there's a lot of positives, that come out of that situation. I tell this all the time. I'm like, yeah, my mom never really was around, my dad, never met him. But man, I had an amazing mom. B, I had amazing male role models that came in, man, and just took time, gave me some time, helped nurture me along the way. So I didn't know that, and but I wanted to point that out. So there's a parent right now that's listening to this because their kid's into football and they're struggling or whatever. It's like, here you are, starting late to the game, having to figure out all the things that you figured out and just committing to the process. Was that your key, or you tell me?
um, I knew as soon as I started playing football, eighth grade year, I wanted to play in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I started playing, I was like, okay, I always enjoyed football, but I always played it just like for fun. We just pick up teams, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and we playing throw 'em up, bust 'em up, and stuff like that. So all I knew was catch and run for real, for real. But I enjoyed that. But and then it wasn't until actually joining organized football and then learning about the X and O's. I was like, it scared, it frightened me at first. I'm like, wait a minute now, what language
There's
y'all
chess.
speaking?
There's I can't run down, draw it out in the dirt. I mean, I'll go right here. You hit me right here.
So it was really, I was trying to play offense. I was trying to play receiver. So it was like, oh yeah, X, Z, Y. I was like, hold on, wait a minute, where these letters come from? Bro, I'm finna run this go, just throw the ball up, bro. So that was a lot of learning. But once they try me out on defense, put me at safety, I was like, oh, just read the guards, high hat, pass, get back. Just low hat, run. All right, come up and try to make a tackle. Oh, that's simple. It
Yeah.
eliminated all the thinking. Now it's like, okay, I'm just playing now. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, once I found my fit, oh yeah, it was a wrap after that.
Yeah. And then when you find some traction, but when you get to high school and you're bouncing back and forth, A, there's a little bit of mindset lesson in there, and then B, are you competing against better players or you compete against attitude?
I want to say both
Yeah.
definitely, but
I know, and I say that to you because that I think sometimes is a missing component of that male in your house all the time is you got a little bit of chip, you got a little bit of attitude, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to figure out what being a man's like, and as you're growing up and you're influenced by all these other things, and it's a little bit of a struggle. I think I wanted to point that out is there's a we compete with our own attitude a little bit.
oh yeah, for sure. I feel like that was the case for me, like junior year, because I felt entitled and felt like should have been I should have been starting, even though I'm like, these coaches have been coaching for years. I'm pretty sure they not starting me for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So, but, and I always had that, always bothered me. I always had an attitude about it. And one day my coach said to me, he said, Chance, you know what? If you would just shut up and play, maybe things will work out. And I was like, for sure. Like, I digested it. I was like, say less. I just took it as a challenge. All right, say less. I'm just let my action do all the talking. I ain't gonna say nothing else. I'm gonna show you. Better than I can tell you. But it's like crazy. That little bit of advice took me a long
Yeah.
way. I still apply it to this day.
That is absolutely some of the best advice I probably had sometime, yeah, over the years of just somebody telling me to listen more. A nice way of saying that is like, hey, be quiet, listen more type thing. But I've had the other thing I probably in high school too is I got punched in the mouth a couple times for running that mouth. Right. So that then I learned like owl, okay, get a little owl association with your attitude. It humbles you and you start learning how to talk to people. So that was a helpful moment for me. Um, and I wanted to point that out, put a little exclamation point on your story of speaking to those folks that are, like I said, are just where you were. Some kid out there who's struggling, trying to get, from that JV team or that other to the varsity level, and he's trying to trash talk his way into making everybody else believe what they don't see on the field.
Oh, yeah.
You see that, right? You're trying to there's I don't know where that drinking your own Kool Aid, maybe reading your own headlines, I guess, right? Um, because there's that moment, and I think there's a lot of kids that go through that to where they're good, but they can be great with a couple adjustments.
Thanks. Most definitely. Most definitely.
The other thing you bring in that I wanted to point out, your school that you went to, would that be, is there a division that's in that school, or is it, what would they, what league or conference did they play in?
You talking about for college or
Yep, yep, for college.
Division One, Double
So
A.
it's a D1 double A school. And I wanted to tell folks that because you struck like you going right into college wasn't, it's not like somebody was standing there waiting for you to walk off a stage to get you to your next level. You had to work at it. You had to figure that out, man. And why didn't you quit? Why didn't you just be like, oh, nobody's here waiting on me? Why didn't you just throw the towel in and say, this is not for me?
It wasn't no plan B for me.
Ah,
It wasn't no plan B or plan C. Plan A has to work.
yeah.
Um, so however we gotta make it happen. We're gonna have to make it happen for sure, for sure. And it got to the point I was like, bro, of course I wanted D1. I'm like, bro, it ain't gotta be D1. As long as I'm able to play at the next level, the collegiate level, I'll still be content. Whether it's D2, D3, NAIA, whatever. But it just happened to play out exactly the way I wanted it to.
Man, and I think that's the cool thing about life, right? Much as we might have a different plan, life always kind of bookends where it needs us to be at the right time.
You know me. Divine timing, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's I have some friends that have has used that word with me sometimes when I'm telling a story, and they'll be like, "Jeff, that's what we call divine intervention where I'm from."
Yes, Lord.
um, and I wanted to point out too, my son has done some showcase camps in baseball and some different things, and one of the cool things I learned about Division 1 ball. We went in, we did a Division 1 just to see, like, hey, what's my son says that at an early age, he was like, he started playing baseball, and next year rolled around, and finally, we started playing. We were heavily in school ball, and all I asked was, you want to do something with this? Do you like it enough that you want to try to play as long as you can? Or are we doing this for fun? Because I'm dad, right? I don't. And he was like, I like to see what we can do with it. Well, I don't know what it takes to play at D1 school. I don't know what it takes to play. So that's why, and I tell you this because you know this, but I'm telling it for everyone else. If your player wants to get to a next level, go figure that out. Go see what that path looks like, and go to these camps. Go find somewhere that you want to go. And the cool thing was, he did the workouts, and he's oh gosh, man, um he's over 100 pounds now, but he was in eighth grade back then. He was the smallest kid. There's probably like it'd probably be like him walking into your lineman locker room, right? He's just you look and there's this little fraction of the player, and everybody else is these big dudes, linebackers, and so the coach told the room during the parents meeting, he said, and players was in there too. This is the cool part. I think what he said. He goes, if you're in this room, you're going to play college baseball. He said, because if you're committed enough to come to this camp, he says all of you will play college baseball. He said, not all of you is going to play here. He
Yes.
said, he said, in fact, most of you won't play Division 1 ball. He says, you're just not going to play Division 1 ball. He said, but I'll almost guarantee you that everybody in this room will play ball somewhere.
Right.
Right.
Long as
And so I
big
wanted to throw that in there for you, dude, because you had that your success plan comes out of military law enforcement type stuff too, to where the mission has to complete. There's no mission can't fail. So there's a best case scenario and a worst case scenario, and then just a mediocre. We're going to get there, or an optimum, right? Best case scenario gets us there 10 minutes early. Optimum, that we're there on time. Worst case is we 5 minutes late, but we still getting there. Um, but you put that together, and I wanted to make sure that got out. Was like, who was helping you get this college plan together?
shit. It was just me for real, for real. 'Cause
Yeah,
my mom, she don't know nothing about no college sports. She
yeah,
ain't really came to football until like my senior, basically my senior year. That's when she really got the understanding of how football operates. So she definitely ain't know what to do. Um, Pops, he ain't play sports like that either, so he definitely know what to do. Uncles, he ain't play. He played in high school, but just in high school. It wasn't no post secondary school after that. So just my coaches, yes, but like I said, they wasn't really marketing us or pushing us like that. You know what I'm saying, out to colleges. So I just watched the class after class. I'm like, okay, and we really ain't sending folks to school for real like that when it comes to
yeah,
signing. So, but I know at the end, I know A lot of the issues, these jokers is shooting their own selves in the foot, not doing what they need to
Yep.
do in the class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Academically wise and then behavior wise. And then of course, you ain't really pushing your highlight tape out, you know what I'm saying, yourself. You just trying to rely solely on these coaches. I'm just seeing what's going on. I got to do something different for sure, because what's been going on ain't working. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna push my own highlight tape. I'm gonna reach out to these schools myself for sure, and just keep putting myself out there. Eventually, somebody's gonna say yes. Somebody's going to say yes.
And they did.
You know what I mean?
Didn't even tell you put you on the website before they told you.
Exactly. I didn't even know.
That's really that's cool. You know, so I think it's easy for me and you to step over that to get to the why you end up in China. But I think, man, when you look at who we're speaking to right now is folks, you know that kid, right? You know that parent, you know that dad, you know that kid who wants to go or got that, man. Make sure they hear this and make sure that they hear this story of just figuring it out, and the where you got to look at, just high five yourself, man, is you figured it out probably when you're 17, 18 years old, when most folks ain't that smart, right? You wait for somebody to come along and help you figure it out, or hey, call this guy, or do this, or do that, and you're figuring it out on your own.
Yeah, for sure. It was a process, but I also had like some good teammates around me as well that was on the same. They just had the same mindset and same spirit and same work ethic. We was always hanging out, always putting in extra work after school. So it was like we pretty much linked on each other, and you know what I'm saying, we became very very close just because we all had the same goal at the end of the day: play college football, but definitely we want to play Division One. Um,
Where is Stetson at?
Florida.
So it takes you away from home.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
takes you
Um,
away from home. Keep walking, man. I thank you for letting me pause you to just to point out some things um, that I didn't know, but I really do think that when you look at how you entered that game and then the path that it took you on of self reliance is a big deal, dude.
yeah, yeah. I downplay it a lot because it's just like it's just something I got to do. You know what I'm saying? For me,
Yeah.
it's like, it needs to be done.
Do you
But
do you find it hard to take help from other people?
yes,
I good. It's not just me then. I said the same thing. Like I've had to my daughter, we both has who has both parents, same type of mentality, is, and I tell her she's an athlete and she works hard, but I have to tell her sometimes, like, you're overlooking everyone who's trying to help you and you're blowing them off, and you're just not plugging in with your help good. So she's turning a few corners on that here recently through some good hard conversations that we've had. So
yeah,
um so keep walking, man. Take me so you finish your college,
yes, sir. So
graduate.
yes, sir. Yeah, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in communication and media studies. Prior to graduating, I had already, as soon as the last game of my college season ended, I immediately started applying for jobs because I knew the
Yeah.
NFL would be in the picture. So I was like, it's time to enter the workforce. What am I going to do next? What do I want to do? What do I have interest in? What am I good at? Like I have no clue. I got to refigure myself out all over again. But I'm like, it's going to be a process, but I'm also up for the challenge because it's like, okay, bro, you've identified as a student athlete and a football player to the fullest for years, and now that's no longer the case. Now this is like on some. This is a whole different vibe right here. We gotta we gotta recreate ourselves. So, um, where do I start? I don't know. I just got to try a bunch of different things to figure out what it is that I like and what I don't. First and foremost, so I just started applying for jobs, mainly corporate positions. I'm talking about some of these jobs I'm getting flown out for, put up in hotels, getting the cars rented out to me, the whole nine, like the whole luxury treatment. And I could never lock in a position. So I did this month. I did this for about 8 months. I done graduated. Now I done moved back to the house. I'm like, bro, what is going on, bro? I did everything, quote unquote, the textbook way, and I still keep ending up the short end of the stick. And they kept hitting me with the same excuse. Oh, we gonna go with somebody with a little bit more experience. Oh, you just lack too much experience.
Experience.
But it's like, bro, y'all knew that was the case when I submitted my resume. Before we set up all these interviews, y'all booked out all these hotels and all that. Y'all knew that was the case. So now we done got face to face, something shifted. What is that? I'm not really sure. But I'm like, hey, it is what it is. Now, you know what I'm saying? Take it with a grain of salt. Like, we've been in this position before. We was trying to find a college to play at. We got told no a million times. But what we do, we persevered, we stay consistent, you know what I'm saying? And we made something happen. So I was like, okay, let's reapproach this job searching thing, because clearly corporate might not be for you, family. We've been trying this for months. We ain't had no success. Let's just look into something else. What are you good at doing? Working with people, talking with people. So with me just going through my job searching with just a different approach, that's when I seen the listing to teach English to kids in China. I'm like, okay, that sounds lit. The requirements, I meet all the requirements, job description. I'm like, I feel like I could do this. So I'll just apply. All it took was submit a resume. 2 clicks of a button. I'm going by my search. I don't think nothing of it. Hear back from the recruiter. We set up an interview, do the interview. A few days passed. They hit me back like, hey, we want to move forward with you as a candidate. I say, oh, wow. After 8 months of applying for jobs, being told no, first job to tell me yes on the other side of the world. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what we finna do. Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. So, entered China on October 10th, 2018. China was the best experience I've ever had. You know what I'm saying? The food was absolutely amazing. Teaching kids was dope. I was teaching kids as young as 3 years old all the way up to 12, but mainly working with the elementary school age range. So class is always a vibe, energy through the roof. You know what I'm saying? I got the music playing. All our lessons is some form of competition. So they very enthusiastic. They having a blast. So I enjoy teaching. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at running the classroom. I never thought I would be in a position where I got to run the classroom after just, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
being a part of the classroom, going from the student to the leading it. So it was a process, but it was a vibe too. The locals, absolutely lovely, welcoming, loving. Um, they showed a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? Meeting other foreigners, that was dope. So yeah, China was lit. I was just living my best life. And then on April 4th, 2019, things take a turn. Things take a turn. And I'm arrested, and then end up serving 14 days in the Beijing penitentiary. Um, and pretty much I was locked up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 15 men to one cell, 9 wooden beds, 3 soups a day, and all I had was a plastic bowl and a plastic spoon. Nothing was explained to me as far as how this process works, what my specific charges are, how long I'm going to be here. And nobody knows I'm here, and I'm sitting in this cell with about 14 other Chinese men, none of which I can speak to. So it ain't looking too good right now. Um, but yeah, that's essentially the nutshell. What took me to China and what I was on a little bit beforehand, and then how things went left.
What did you ever figure out what the charges were? Or how did you start mitigating that?
Oh yeah, I still to this day don't know what my specific charges were. Just far as what the reasoning, at least what you know what I'm saying, pushed the issue for me to get arrested. I was in my apartment pre-gaming. I was getting ready to head to an event to meet some friends and colleagues. We just gonna be kicking it, hanging out, you know what I'm saying? So I'm pre-gaming before I go. So I'm in the apartment, I'm drinking Chinese wine coolers, smoking a little cannabis. I get done, get dressed, make sure I got everything I need before I walk out the door, and I hear a knock. Curious to see who it is, I look through the peephole, and there's 3 officers from the Beijing police. I open the door, I scrum put everything up, open the door. They come in, question me about drugs. I'm sitting here playing the fool like I don't know what they talking about. And then they pulled out a drug test and drug test me right there on the spot. I was like, oh yeah, it's over with.
Yeah.
It's over with. Do the drug test. The results came back instantly. Failed it, of course. Now the cuffs is on me. At this point, all funds communication ceased to exist. Moving forward.
Because they got strict laws on drugs, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Like worse than that, like it's a no zero tolerance type thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's they they won't kill you or nothing like that, but
Yeah.
it is yeah.
You you have to credit yourself of 14 days in a Chinese jail, right? What's that internal tool or mindset shift that helps you get you through that time?
Well, first and foremost, accountability. I knew I consciously knew what I was doing. And I knew the repercussions from my choices, and so now that everything has hit the fan and here we are in this predicament, I can't really be upset with anybody but myself. I'm no reason why I'm in this predicament. So,
Yeah.
have to play out. I got to take this to the chin, for sure, for sure. I don't know how or what I'm gonna have to go through, but I know when it's all said and done, my mental's still gonna be intact and my spirit still gonna be intact. I'm still gonna be me. I just know it's gonna be a trial of the mind for sure. But I remember telling myself to take note of every minor detail because it's gonna be a great story to tell once you're out of this predicament.
Did you, is it like the states where they give you an attorney or you have to figure that out or, yeah, no due
But
process, right?
so that the cuffs they threw the cuffs on me in the apartment, bounced around from one precinct to another precinct before I'm taken to the jail where I'm housed. And it was no lawyer, no judge, none of that. They're just following orders. Now here I am in the cell. Don't know what's going on.
Somewhere along the lines, um, the positive is it unlocks this passion for writing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You,
facts.
it's I guess what we say here is magic handcuffs, man, because it unleashed your ability to write.
Facts. It was crazy because once I was released, I was like, okay, I don't know. One, I can't wait to tell people this story. And like once I got back, I was anybody I was hanging out with, I would just drop the bomb on, tell them, give them the whole rundown of what just happened, what I went through, and I'm talking about I was leaving people's jaws on the floor every time I told the story. So it's like, okay, I got something on my hands. How am I going to go about sharing this to the masses?
Yeah.
It wasn't until one of my good friends I grew up with, DeMarco Reddins, he was a traditionally published author before we graduated high school in 2014. So he was the one that was like, "Hey, bro, you ain't think about writing a book about the experience?" I was like, "Boy, that's a good idea." That wasn't even a thought. But I'm like, "Bro, that's it right there. Where do I start?" I don't even know, but I'm like, "That's a good idea. I think that's what I want to do." So he took my phone, went to my notes, left me a little outline, and I just started filling it in. And by me doing that, I caught a feel for how I wanted to go about telling the story. So I moved it to a Google Doc. It took me about 4 months to write the story, and then just spent the next 6 months just getting it ready for publishing.
I've told I teach AI and folks like yourself or me. I've used AI to interview me for a book.
Mm,
I didn't have it write it. I had it interview me, and then we storyboarded it together. So I turned it on, and it would ask me. We get to the chat. I had the prompt kind of set up to where it's like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to write a book about this particular time in my life. I need you. This is because a lot of it I'm able to tell through podcasting. So I kind of feed AI some of the different stuff on the story, just like you sharing this with me, and like we have this little book in. And then I was like, "You've heard this phrase, like, yeah, this," and it give me a synopsis of like this phase of my life. And I go, "All right, I want to create a book that talks about this. I need you to just interview me one question at a time
mm-hmm.
on and give me a chance to respond." And I did it verbally. Like ChatGPT would be like, and their little robotic voice would ask me things. So I would do this going down the road. I would turn it on and I would just it would ask me questions and I would just talk to it like if I was talking to you.
Yeah,
And then when I was the final thing was I took it and just then I started cleaning it up and adding some more of my little nuggets that needed to be in there. And then I'm kind of got it. I'm almost done with a second proofread, and I'm going to hire a proofreader to just or a copywriter to go behind me to help me with the rest of it. But it's so much easier, folks. And I tell you all that to tell you this: if you got a good story, ain't nothing holding you back on getting your story out there now.
dang, what? No excuse.
Yeah.
No excuse.
What do you think this, what do when you look at yourself there in your situation, what do you think that biggest myth is that that people, probably the biggest myth that people get wrong when it comes to like your second chance or you're turning this trauma into purpose. Where do you think folks get that wrong?
They fester in the low vibration or the negative aspect of what occurred.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Versus just being in the moment, taking what you need to take away from the situation as far as a lesson, and then just applying it to your life moving forward. You know what I'm saying? This is just a stepping stone. It isn't a roadblock to hinder you from moving forward. But a lot of people do that to themselves. They put up a own a roadblock that's not even there. It wasn't even there to begin with. You know what I'm saying? They build one, and that's just from a mindset standpoint.
I think you're spot on with that, man. Sometimes when you get set back, you think it's the end, and you
Man,
don't. Some folks you forget that you. I've been in a phase where it's hard to leave the house. You just can't. You kind of get up and you just can't get out your own way, and you're afraid to let the world kind of see you type thing. I've been there. But man, if you can turn that corner, there's a whole lot. What I figured out, man, is a whole lot more life waiting. And if the people you're around are judging you based on your failure or your shortcoming, get new people. There's plenty of people out there to overlook that. Good people too,
that
right?
part.
And it's not negative association or sometimes when you like when you look at that, sometimes when you pull time, you end up around people who's pull time, and next thing you know, you're all back pulling time together because you did something. So you see that side of it as well. But there's just many high performers in business and book writers and all coach. Some of your best freaking coaches of athletes are people who've been set back because you have an amazing story to be able to. Like, that kid, I always try to not overshadow. I had a friend one time gave me some good advice. She says, she goes, you've done a lot and you've been through way more than like my kids. She goes, your kids will never experience what you've experienced. She goes, but just remember on their level, what they're experiencing is equal to what you experienced. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me know when you come back. Just got you froze up right now. Just let me know when you're back, man. All right, folks. I was just working with our man, Chancellor Jackson, in his episodes. Amazing football coach. Did 14 days in jail in China. So
Sweet.
there's a connection disruption as we was getting close to the end there. But here's what I want to tell you. Make sure you check the show notes for the bookmarks. One of the things that Chancellor does is help other people get their books published and help get their stories told. So make sure you check the book notes or the show notes so you can look at all his backlinks, and then make sure you give this guy a follow on social media. Is He's absolutely crushing it with his content and his messaging that he has out there. So just make sure you give him a follow. Like I say, you're going to find all this in the show notes from today's episode. And I can't thank him enough for being on and sharing that story with us. And it's a vulnerable story that it's a vulnerable story that many of the folks that's come on my show have. So thank you for following along. Sorry about the little recording snafu, and I can't wait to see everyone on the next episode.